Welcome to Publishing Power. My name is Joelle, and today we have our guest here, Penny Sansevieri. She's the CEO and founder of the Author Marketing Experts, Inc. And she's also an adjunct professor at NYU. She's a best-selling author and internationally recognized book marketing and media relations expert. Her company is one of the leaders in the publishing industry and has developed some of the most cutting-edge book marketing campaigns, which is why we're here today, because we have lots of authors who want to know how and what to do now. What now?
Right.
They
Exactly.
write the book, they give it to us. So welcome, Penny. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your experience, because you obviously, as an author, you have a better background than many in terms of how to market and get your name out there. And then tell us a little bit more.
So it is really interesting because there are 4,500 books published every day in the United States, which is a staggering number. So a lot of what happens is an author comes to, like, they finish the book, and at that point is when they start to think, well, what do I do now? And it's not, it's not good or bad. I mean, it's better just if you can start a little bit earlier, obviously, but it's just, it just is kind of what happens because you spend so much time. It's a confusing process. As you know, it can be a confusing process. You find the cover person and the interior and what, and if you're doing an index and if you have images, so there's a lot of ramp up to publishing the book. And by the time the book is out, you're like, okay, now I can take a deep breath. And now actually is when the work really starts for the book once it hits Amazon.
Right, because we have a book, but who's going to buy it, and where do we?
Who's going to buy it? Right, exactly. And a lot of times, and I've heard this in the 20 years that I've been in business. I've heard this a lot. Is authors say, "Well, I'm just going to put the book up on Amazon and see what happens."
Oh,
and that's the problem with that. Is that the problem with that is, for the obvious reasons, is the exposure. But also, if you're worried about the Amazon algorithm, if you're worried about, if you want to get higher up in the Amazon search rank and you want that exposure to, if you want the Amazon gods to kind of bless your book with a higher ranking, you really don't want the book to sit there, because if it sits there not doing anything, and it's not getting reviews and you're not pushing it, it's hard to recover from that. So right. The Amazon algorithm, doesn't look kindly on books that just kind of, that have no momentum behind them, and they sink and they sink and they sink, and it's really hard to get them back.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard. It's almost a punishment if you don't.
It is. Yeah, it's weirdly. I know. I realize that it's all the algorithm, which isn't necessarily a person sitting there saying, "Well, Sally didn't do anything with her book today, so we're going to punish her." It feels like that, but it's not actually like that. But it definitely feels like that.
Well, they don't prefer you anymore, and that's there's so much behind the technology, and I think a lot of creatives get so excited in their story and their ideas for their career and their book, which are all great, and you do want to keep that big vision, but you also have the opportunity for a fantastic learning experience here on meeting your audience, finding your platform, becoming this author and this producer of more than just one book, but you have to have success. So tell us how to do that.
Well, what's interesting is that, and what I wanted to talk about today was the Amazon book page, because there's a lot of stuff that you can do when it comes to promoting your book. You can put ads on Facebook, you can run ebook promotions, you can get reviews, you can pitch bloggers. A lot of that, and all of that matters, and all of that's great. But what's interesting, and one of the reasons why I kind of zeroed in on this, is that it's very frequently forgotten to make sure that your Amazon book page, a lot of authors just sort of toss their book up there and kind of hope for the best. And I understand that to an extent, because there's a lot of other things to sort of worry about. Mm-hmm. But paying attention to what you can do with your Amazon book page and making sure that it's ready to go. There's a lot of free stuff that you can do on Amazon, which is really, really great. So do you want me to show
yes.
some of the slides that I got ready and take everybody through?
I know you have slides.
So let me open this up here. it's not an understatement to say that you can create a best-selling Amazon book page. And the reason, again, that this is important is because you're sending people to that page. It's not that dissimilar, actually, from saying, look, you need to have a really good website. You need to have a website that's actually going to take the traffic that you send them and convert it into newsletter signups or blog signups for subscriptions, whatever that is. Your Amazon book page is exactly the same.
Exactly.
And for most authors, it is their #1 sales portal. So thankfully, there's always good news and bad news about Amazon, but the good news is that it is the #1 sales portal. Thank goodness, because it's a great place to sell books. Amazon book pages have gotten really cluttered, and part of it is because they're giving you real estate on their website for your book, but in exchange for that, they're cluttering your page with all kinds of ads and things like that. Not just ads for sponsored ads like the Amazon ads, but for their, for the latest TV show that they're running and all of this other stuff. So we're going to look a little bit at taking back some of that space because, and expanding out and using more of that real estate. And, as I said earlier, if your book page isn't converting, all of your marketing is really wasted. So it's important. In real estate, they talk about curb appeal, right? So it's really easy to sell a house that looks like this.
Right.
The problem is most Amazon book pages look like this, generally, right? So obviously you want to have a strong cover that looks like it belongs on the bestseller shelf. And I've actually had authors who take this class who say, you know what, I think my cover is the problem. And it turns out that the cover is the problem. And this with your extensive background in publishing, you can very easily put on a new cover that is better suited to your audience. So a lot of the things that I'm talking about here are really quick fixes. You want to have a strong book title. Something that's really hard to pronounce is always difficult because it's hard to pronounce. It's probably hard to type into the Amazon search bar, so that also can impact it. Something not too complex, so lead with the benefits, fiction or nonfiction, always important. The subtitle is really important for fiction and nonfiction. We have a lot of books that we work with that are fiction books that all of them, I encourage the authors to have a subtitle because it gives the reader, like a nonstop thriller, child abduction thriller. Those are examples of a time travel romance. For fiction, for nonfiction, obviously that's easier because most books already have a subtitle. So great book description, great formatting, spacing, and I'm going to show you some examples in just a second of what I'm talking about. In 90% of the cases when I look at Amazon, when I look at books on Amazon, the book description is kind of all jammed together in one very, very long paragraph. Right. And visually, we scan, we don't read. So when you have all that text kind of cluttered together, the mind doesn't register well in the mind, and you tend to lose readers that way. Yeah. If you have a fiction or nonfiction book, lots of short paragraphs, adding in a standout review is really good, even if you're pulling it from the reviews that have been posted. So even if this isn't something separate that you got some major review from the New York Times or something, you can pull any reader review and add it as a standout review. Bullets and italics. Italics work for fiction or nonfiction. Bullets obviously are more for the nonfiction folks. And then keywords. If you're doing your Amazon optimization, populating your book page with keywords is really good. This is an example of a book that is doing really, really well, right? This book is doing really well. Look at all, she's 5-star ratings, #1 bestseller, children's activity books, cute cover, cute premise. But her book description is really short. And I think to enhance this further, I would have suggested, because she has almost 1,200 reviews. She could take one of those reviews and just kind of highlight it. And I have an example of what that looks like in the slide deck. She can highlight it and add it to the book description and expand that book description out. This is another one where she has a great cover. This could really use a subtitle. This is another example of, so she only has 9 reviews. The book just came out. But when I scroll down further on the page, she has a lot of separate reviews from bigger publications, Publishers Weekly, Kirkus, Library Journal. So she could have added that here and expanded out this book description a little bit more and added some paragraphs and, you know, a lead-in sentence, kind of like what this person did here, right? Which I think is great.
So you would lead with that. So it's
Mhm.
above the fold. You would lead with that as if it's above the fold. You're using the same concepts.
Yeah.
And
part of the reason why I like to do standout reviews at the top and I like to bold them is because people like what other people like, and that bolding catches your eye.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a bad idea to kind of sort of highlight that. One of the other things that I also like to do, as you see here in this example, is she's got some fairly short paragraphs, right? So it kind of, it feels a bit more appealing to the eye than this one did, because it's all sort of, you know, it's all sort of jammed together. So it's got a little bit of spacing, which makes it really nice. I like keywords on Amazon book pages. I really, really like that. And for fiction authors, sometimes it's harder to include keywords, but you can do an author interview, which I'll show you an example of in this slide deck, which is really, really fun. So for example, if you're a fiction author and you have a book that is contemporary romance, right? It's hard to include that terminology in your book description, because obviously your book description is about the book. It's not necessarily, you're not necessarily going to try to unnaturally shove keywords in there, but you can do it in an author interview, right? So for example, if you weren't writing contemporary romance, what genre would you write? And you can add all of this stuff through Author Central on the back end. So what I encourage authors to do is add reviews, add your table of contents, expand out your Amazon book page with lots and lots of really fun content. You can go into, this is the back end of Amazon Author Central. You can go into the back end and you don't necessarily have to follow the guidelines. So it says from the author, inside flap. I actually took, for my most recent book on how to sell more books on Amazon, how to sell books by the truckload on Amazon, I took the table of contents and I popped it under the inside flap. And so it's now sitting on the Amazon page. So you can use these, get creative with these. You can use these for all sorts of fun things. Make sure that you have, you know, have your URL, have your website address in your bio so that you can send people back to your website, right? This is a great use for editorial reviews. She also put, if you notice where that yellow arrow is, when the audiobook is coming out.
Nice.
So, you know, this author added, she has a lot of social media, I don't know how she keeps up with it, but she added all of her social media as well as shortened links to other books that she has. So what these authors are doing is they're really taking advantage of the space that you get on Amazon and taking back some of that real estate. And the final thing that I wanted to mention in this is the video shorts. So a lot of Amazon you have the ability to upload a video on the Amazon book page. And a lot of authors, a lot of folks, you know, a lot of readers use that to talk about the book, right? They upload a video. They don't like to write a review. They upload a video instead. Right. But as authors, we can also use that on our Amazon pages. And it's a really fun way to sort of interact with your potential reader, right? So I've had authors, we have an attorney who wrote a book about a very, very well-known case that he worked on about 10 years ago. And he's doing a series of video shorts that talk about why he decided to write about this case, what was so unique about this case, you know, and little things like that. So he's doing little 30-second video shorts and popping them up on the Amazon page. So you can use this for almost anything, even little short book trailers, or use it as a thank you for visiting my Amazon book page kind of video. But the idea really is that you want to create a page that encourages readers to linger. Because if you're sending them to your book page from whatever you're doing out there, you want them to, the book cover resonates with them, the title of the book resonates, the subtitle tells them a little bit more about what the book's about. Now they're going to start reading that book description, and you have a standout review that's bolded, so they're like, okay, well, and the mind immediately goes to, well, other people like this book, let me keep reading.
Right.
And as you continue to pull them into that book page, the potential to increase a book sale increases with that.
Right.
And that's really where all the marketing that you're doing out here starts to match up with your book page, and you're selling more books. Because I'll tell you, if an author comes to me and says, I'm doing all these Facebook ads, or I'm doing Google ads, or whatever they're doing, and I'm not selling any books, I can almost guarantee you that it's their Amazon book page that is the problem.
Wow.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's their Amazon book page. So does that kind of make sense? That's sort of what I wanted to take everybody through for this.
I mean, this is short and concise, and for us to say to do it. And I think that's what you need. You need one actionable, really concise thing. So what do you do today? Go in and fill in everything and keep working and keep working. And then maybe have someone like yourself review it, or get some feedback, because it's very interesting how much, every platform is asking for more and more information. So
Yeah.
How do you put that information there in a way that actually benefits you? And that can be, it is a write it, edit it, write it kind of thing. And I'm not talking about book writing, I'm talking about your page editing.
Yeah.
That will take the time, but definitely, I mean, this is where they buy the book. This is the cash register.
This is the cash register. And, it's again, it's not that dissimilar of if you walk up to a cash register anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and, the cash register's a mess and everything's really cluttered, and it feels a little weird, and you almost want to go and buy your stuff somewhere else.
Right.
So essentially what you're doing is you want to make the checkout as easy and as unobjectionable as you can. And if the only thing that people do, that if the authors are coming off this, they think, okay, well, this is something that I really want to focus on, go to your book description and cycle back to that. Go to your book description and add some spacing,
Right.
bold out some reviews. I mean, that's a pretty simple, quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about this is that you can also, if you have access to your book description, you can also make changes to it as well. So you've won an award, or you can add the awards that you've won to that. So there really isn't, there's so much opportunity that authors have on this page that they aren't taking advantage of. The videos, for example, you can actually, like, if you have if you're going to be touring somewhere, or like I'm coming to Dallas and I'm going to be doing a book event, I'm super excited, or whatever that's timely, maybe, that you can actually access the video portal on Amazon and remove and replace videos. So if you have something that is, maybe you did a discount, or you're doing a special, or whatever, you could also just do a review to say, hey, please review my book. If you bought my book, please review my book.
Right. And
So
it's almost like a social media. I mean, this is where the friendliness comes in. And if you can sit here and talk to your readers, if that's your personality and it fits your genre, it seems like that would be enticing to see that a little bit more, especially on the videos. What do I talk about? What do I make a video of? I don't know. I'm a writer, not a talker. So, maybe there's a couple of things that we could just focus on. I think that's really great.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, you can come back to your page, you can add more, content to it. One of the things that authors do, because there's the issue of Amazon pulling reviews off of, off their book pages, is that I encourage authors to do is if you go to your Author Central page and you click on the book, or you click on the reviews tab, it'll show you all the reviews that you've gotten. Take a screen grab of that, couple, once a week or something. And then, if you're having trouble with reviews getting pulled, not everybody does.
Yeah.
But you can go and you can take those reviews and you can just sort of verbatim and add them into on the back end of your Amazon Author Central page, so they're never really lost.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you can do. You can have a lot of fun with it. I've just done, like I said, I added the table of contents to my book page, and it's just a really great way to take back some of that book real estate on that very, very important Amazon book page.
Right. And Amazon, tell me, they have new plugins that they can post out. There are other ways to use Amazon to distribute this information, right? Obviously, they want everyone coming back to Amazon.
Well, they want everybody to come back to Amazon. Yeah, I'm not sure about with the plugins. I mean, you can add the author follow button to your website so folks can follow you on your author page, which is also important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that because then it takes me right there and I can see all of their works. I can see what they've done. And if I'm
Yes.
really interested, I can also see their bio. I am personally disappointed when I follow an author and then they don't put in their bio, you know?
Yeah.
Because obviously if you put yourself up to follow, why am I following you if I don't get to? It's that thing about the social engagement now that we kind of want to feel like we know that person. We want to know who they are, what they're doing, even if it's just a joke, you know?
Well, you know, and you make a really, really good point because it really is about, it's about that connection. And that's one of the reasons that, like you pointed out, the bio is important, but also the video is important. The video shorts are important because you want to make that one-on-one connection. People buy from people they like.
Right.
And that connection, that relationship with that reader is so valuable. And those are the kinds of things that will get you more, get you more book sales. And look, we all have better things to do than, creating video shorts. Like there's so many other things that we could be writing our next book. But a lot of everything pretty much that I talked about today is kind of set it and forget it. So you can make these changes and you don't have to keep noodling with that page every week. I mean, unless you want to.
Right.
But you don't have to. So this isn't something that you have to spend hours and hours and hours doing every single week. Like, oh my gosh, there's another thing on my to-do list. And that's part of the reason why I really like it, because it's so easy to do and sadly it's so often forgotten.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Well, that is definitely something to use as a takeaway. Get on your Amazon page and figure it out, update it. And I like the spacing. I think people tend to forget that, we are on screens all the time. So we need that space, that scanning, the bullet points, even if it's not a bullet point, but those line breaks so that we can easily see. And by that's where we're buying. I'm buying on my phone. I'm not buying a book on my computer most of the time. I'm buying on my phone or my app or my tablet, my phone. So it's
very, very true. Yeah, it's very true. And we know this from, book designers will tell you the same thing who do interior design for books. They'll say, when you have a whole bunch of words on a single page with no spacing, it actually overwhelms the mind. Right. And you know this when you've looked at books, you're just like you hear this sort of audible groan because something doesn't really fire well in the mind when there isn't that spacing. The brain likes that. And also just because we know from, website design, no, we don't do website design, but working with website designers that people scan, they don't read. So don't underestimate the power of spacing and bullets and well-placed italics and bolding and things like that to help to kind of, enliven your book description and make it more readable.
I agree with you. And I think it's funny because as authors, these are people who love to read. And so they assume, and they also love to write. So they just want to fill it in and share as much as you can, which is great. But the Amazon page is actually not your book. It is your commercial. It's your invitation. And you wouldn't send out an invitation with the entire schedule of the party. You would send out date and time and, how to get in touch with me and what to do. And you would keep it very simple and beautiful to entice them, as opposed to just, we're going to do everything. It's going to be great.
Yeah, exactly.
This is good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Obviously, we have Penny today, and she has a lot of expertise on this. And you should check out her authormarketingexpert.com and find out more about what she's doing. Tell us where we can get some downloads or free. Where can we find out more information, get a hold of you?
So you can, at amarketingexpert.com is our website. There's a free book marketing planner that you can get.
Exactly.
Signing up there. You know what's so crazy? People love this planner. And I love planners. Like, we just in December, I go shopping for planners, super excited. So last year I said, let's create a book marketing planner. of all of the things that I've done, it is the number one. It's the craziest thing. People just love it. So you can get it for free. Go onto the amarketingexpert.com website and you get a free book marketing planner. It's really awesome.
That's great. I mean, it does. It feels like, okay, you're trying to plan out what you're going to do. And most of the time it's not, you just don't know the steps yet. You know, you've gotten to the editor, you've gotten to the book designer, but now what? Now what? Now what? And it's a whole new door has just opened. That's great. That's fantastic. An easy way to eat that one bite at a time.
Yeah, and the planner takes you through some ideas and some things and goals for this month. And so it really does, it offers some actionable things that you can do as well. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, this is fantastic. Please check out that. We will put the links below on our podcast and our video here so you can get more and more information. I would love to talk more in the future so we can dig in a little bit deeper for those who have been out there publishing, who are trying to get a little bit more deeper. But I think this is a fantastic starting point for everyone who really needs, you know, what can I do today? What would make a difference? How do I fix this? And if you don't have an Amazon page, well, this is your first step.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you again so much for inviting me to be on. It was really fun.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thank you for attending the Publishing Power podcast today.